We're being recorded. You can call the meeting to order now, Mayor Bennett.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order now. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing here with the camera. And I don't have an extra laptop with, and I only have the one on the camera. But how do where get the sheet to start with?
That was emailed to you, so the council package will be in your email as a PDF, so you'll have to call it up and put it on your home screen.
Okay. If I just, if I leave the meeting, Dana could take my place.
Yes, if you leave the meeting, then Deputy Mayor Proctor will step in and chair the meeting.
Okay, I will do that right now.
Okay.
If we can just take a pause then, Nate, we'll just reset and
I can stop the whole
I'll
recording.
be right there.
Because we didn't really start,
Okay.
so I can just stop it and we'll just.
Yeah, or do we?
If we can just pause it for right now, please, Nate. Thank you very much, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 4:18, calling the meeting to order again. I will start with our land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I'd like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We'd like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and our support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all generations of the people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Reading today's agenda, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? No, none being heard, we'll move on to confirmation of council agenda.
That council adopt the agenda for the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting.
And would I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. All in favor? Thank you very much. We have no delegations or public meetings, so we'll move on to section 6, which is minutes from previous meetings. Our May 6th regular council meeting and minutes are in our package. Would I have a mover to accept as presented? Thank you, Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Webster. There's going to be a pattern tonight, gentlemen. All in favor? Thank you. Section 7, any business arising from minutes? No. I do have a few items. Sorry, Councillor Humphreys?
Nope.
No? I do have a few items. Unfortunately, with Mayor Bennett not here, I'm going to raise them but table them for next meeting. There were a few items mentioned in previous council meeting, particularly around, first item was clarifying what was meant by legal representation for county council by Mayor Bennett. Needed to seek to understand what that meant, what does that mean in so many different capacities. The other one was around the county report itself, indicating that there was county-wide busing being available to Ottawa on a daily basis. Just wondering if Mayor Bennett would be able to elaborate further on that. And the third one to table was regarding the absenteeism. There was reference in the previous meeting of a year-long absence. My understanding was that the leave of absence through October to December concluded in January, having Mayor Bennett back with us from January 1 until today. So I just sought to better understand what was meant in those meetings so that we'd have clarification for ourselves and the community. Again, needing to table those, though, for future meetings where Mayor Bennett is able to join us. Any further discussion? Okay, none being heard, we'll move on to committee reports. And we'll start off with Chair Humphreys, if I can, please, for 8.1.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Proctor. 8.1.1, the Chair's report from our May 7th meeting, just the day after our council meeting. And also, I'm just going to turn it over to our Public Work Manager, Mr. Knapp, to go through the page 7 to page 37, reading on quite a few articles to go through that. So take it away there, Adam, please.
Thank you. Yeah, there's several rather in-depth reports, some requesting funding for landfill sign replacements. This is just part of our strategy with us looking to get the landfill expanded. We want to improve the overall look of the facility. Some of the signs are very aged and not showing a great appearance, so we're requesting $5,000 from environmental reserves to get them printed on high-quality signs, similar to what we would have on the roadway. The best quotation that we received was from a local supplier as well, which is good because we're keeping it local. So. The next report is for community center floor strip to strip the wax off of that. Just as also a procedural change that we will go. So we're looking for $9,000 to have the floor professionally stripped and waxed. And then we'll also get some training from that contractor of how to maintain the floor properly in between these treatments so that the next time we do a professional waxing, it won't cost us this much. The main part of this funding is because we have to remove a significant amount of wax that was put on improperly and built up over time and creating a very poor appearance on the floor. The next is the Horton level of service analysis. We will go more in depth in this later with the presentation. So for now, I will skip past it unless there's any questions at this time. Further is the Clear Bag Waste Collection Program. This is to recommend that the township transition to a clear waste bag collection program beginning in January 1st, 2026 with a soft launch. And the soft launch is really just about promotion and education. Do some public consultations, send out lots of informational packages, have some PIC meetings where we bring the public in, get their opinion, build on that and then do the full transition in January 1st of 2027. This is also with us expanding our landfill, trying to move forward with getting the most life cycle out of it. We've performed waste audits in the past that showed that almost 50% of the material coming in is recyclable, could be diverted away from our landfill, and our current diversion rates are about 13%. That's not very good provincially. The average is around 50 to 88% for townships that have implemented clear waste bag collection programs. So if you take our 13%, add that to the 50% that could be diverted through our audits, we're right on that 60, 70 percentile of diversion if we implement this program and audit the waste properly before it ends up into the landfill site itself. Ultimately, the cost on the ratepayer is very minimal. Clear waste collection bags cost the exact same as dark bags. It's just a matter of contacting local suppliers and seeing if they can get this stuff in stock for 2027 when there's obviously going to be an increased demand. There was also some discussion of maybe the township doing some kind of a subsidy program to supply these to residents just in 2026, 26, and then move into 2027 to get them used to buying them, help them out, give them with a little bit of supply, but that's obviously on council to decide over the next while of which direction we want to take through that promotion and education. There's some basics of how the program will be worked. It really doesn't change a whole lot other than the color of the bags. We're still allowing the same amount of bags at the curb. They get a NOOP sticker on them, which we have used in our recycling programs in the past. So we're just implementing past procedures and putting them into a new program to hopefully divert the waste away. Our waste audit came in right after this report was brought in. That's a biannual report that's done every 2 years. It shows that our average intake rate is around 3,000 cubic meters per year now. At that rate, our life cycle of our landfill, expanded landfill, I should say, is 12 years. If we divert the extra, we're 19 to 20 years on that. That is hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings to the township by not having to start exporting that waste out or look for alternate solutions much earlier than we should be. So I think that's about the summary of that. I'll open it up to council for some questions because obviously this is going to be a very in-depth and hard transition. It's going to be about promotion and education and getting the public understanding why we are doing this program and what the benefit is to the township.
Yes, thank you, Adam. No, we had a very good meeting, and I know there's going to be a lot of pushback with the clear garbage bags, but again, people got to think about 12 years or 20 years and what it'll cost to ship the garbage out of here. And that's, I think, education and as we talked in our meetings, maybe start people off earlier with, let people start with the clear bags early. Like maybe take some money out of someplace out of reserves and start buying clear bags and get this program started. And really, maybe in the tax bill, start putting out saying, we got to do this because we got to save our landfill for down the road. I think the more we can put out and educate people, then it will really help educate people about clear bags. Big deal, it's clear. Then you go through the list that Adam had sent out, it breaks it right down, what's recycled, what could be put scrap, what goes to hazardous waste, and just divide it up that way. It's a free thing at hazardous waste right now till August. Like, if you got an old, if you change the oil in your car, take it to Renfrew. Right from Aaron Pryor, everybody uses the Renfrew or hazardous wastes, but I'm hoping that maybe we can do a little experiment, maybe get some voluntary people that might want to do that. We have a few on our committee that might start. I'd be willing to start with a clear bag, and I know Tyler and maybe Lois would start with a clear bag. Like, get it started. Get people that are sort of in the groove, that are thinking about the future and about tax dollars. If it goes up, we're going to see a big, big increase in taxes just for landfill alone. So it's a worthwhile program. We are going to push back, but I really feel that we have to start someplace. And the other places are doing it, like, they seem to be going along fine with it. So I don't know whether there's any more questions for Adam on that. And continue on with your thing. Yes, Councillor Webster.
Thank you, Councillor Humphries. Yeah, so during our committee, we had very open discussion on this, and there's lots of ideas out there, and the thought is, you know, we got to get there by hopefully January 1st of 2027, but the money savings, you know, by not expanding or getting a new landfill or trucking out, as Councilor Humphrey said, is going to be astronomical. So I think education is, as you had mentioned, is a big part, and we're going to be positive in that, and open houses and everything that we do this, and then start as a committee, as members, doing the clear bag, education, and as Public Works Manager Knapp said, he had, I can't remember, I think it was Carlton Place, who was a recent, that is switching over.
Cornwall is currently
Cornwall.
in transition. They began at the start of this year. But I was recently on a course, and one of the educators at the course was the environmental director in Peterborough County. And in Peterborough County, they oversee all the lower tier municipalities' waste collection program. She overseen that program and confirmed that they did see a drastic increase in their diversion rate. And yes, there was pushback from people, but once people got used to it and seeing the benefits of this program, it began to, really pay off for the counties and the township itself. So.
Thank you. And the, moving forward, for the purchase of the clear bags, I think that's, should be a council decision by, but it's minute cost, smaller cost, rather than the bigger hundreds of $1,000s later. I think we should start educating by supplying these bags, and then seeing how it goes, and hopefully our diversion rate, as you said, 3,000 cubic meters a year, 12 years, and we can expand it to 20 if we do it properly, and I'm full support. Hopefully we can get the education out there that everybody can switch over.
I think it's very important, Council Webster, that we do educate. I've just had a thought about if we started with, in 2026, to start thinking about pushing the bags early, as soon as possible, or, or earlier, even this fall. Because I know when we lived in London, all the recycles were in clear bags. The McCanns were in one clear bag. Your newspapers, because it was easier for them, they didn't have to blow it up and down the streets. And all the commingled stuff was in clear bags. They knew it wasn't leaf bags; it was clear bags we used for recycle. But it's more plastic. But I mean, those plastics break down so easy now, and if you can see, and it's broke down that you can have opaque bags for your personal stuff, or special letters, or something that you're ripped up, or really security-wise, like cut up credit cards and stuff. You can put it in that bag, and other things you want to keep secure. So, and I feel if you're allowed 225 plus in the 77, there's not a whole lot of clear stuff left. So, I don't know whether we can get around that anymore or not. Yes, Deputy Mayor Proctor.
Thank you. I'll go through some of the items. Love the idea of the new signage at the landfill. I think, to your point, it's looking a little worse for wear. And I'm a big fan of a bit of a tipping point mentality, right? As if we show that we're taking care of something, it will equally be treated that way. So I think that's a great use of some of our reserve funds. Love the idea as well of changing the floor out at the community center. It's looking a little foggy these days, and no amount of cleaning seems to make it look shinier. So I'm looking forward to, again, invigorating a bit of life into that floor, and love the idea of asking for a bit of training on how to keep it as great and as wonderful. The clear bag transition program, I think, is a great approach, but my mind goes to a few different items in different areas that I've seen. Is the clear bags are, from my experience, not as durable. So I love the idea of a soft launch where we are able to work with teams, work with organizations. It's not lost on me today, driving here, I don't normally see garbage collection today, but because it was a long weekend, I did. The Crows love garbage bags. Clear garbage bags, in my experience, are not as durable, so I'd like to your point, Councillor Webster, get that education, get that soft launch of clear bags going. I think also working with, whether we look at something we fund or with some of our suppliers, to your point, if we're offsetting 7 possible years on our landfill, I'm sure we could find some initial seed funding to encourage every resident to come to the township as a potential idea, where come to the township and be given a few bags just to start us off, to start. Ideas like that I look forward to more conversation on to encourage that soft launch. And my experience, because I buy clear bags right now, to your point, for recycle, because recycle takes clear bags, I don't find them the same price. I find them slightly more expensive, but I might not be sourcing them in the right spot. So we've now got time to enable this. So I love the foresight for it. And if there are any other municipalities in the area that you think we can be learning from or gaining some exposure from, I look forward to hearing from those too. Thank you.
I think right now it's more southern Ontario municipalities that are doing it. The closest locally that I know of is Cornwall. And I just think with, there's over 40 municipalities in Ontario that have already transitioned. The landfill problem isn't a Horton problem. This is an Ontario-wide, Canada-wide problem where landfills are running out of their life. And the big push with producer responsibility and everything else is to make sure that you are getting the most out of these, because the next turnaround, as we heard our consultants say, we're probably not going to see another landfill expansion. We're going to have to start looking for alternate solutions. So the longer we can push that date out to plan for that alternate solution, the better position Horton Township is going to be in.
If I may, as a supplemental as well, is some of that diversion, we've talked about this before, but from a council table perspective as well, is future consideration to what to be doing for textiles. There are a number of places to take them in town, but if there might be something that we encourage what to do with, instead of putting something into the garbage that's, a textile of some jeans or jacket or something that you're no longer using, or bedding or what have you, what could be done. Maybe we try to look for ways to encourage how to use those instead of putting them into the landfill. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
In the short term, yes, this is a Horton problem, but in the long term, this is also going to be addressed under producer responsibility. They're going to start looking at everything as far as light bulbs, paints, anything that is produced in mass quantities by producers. Textiles will fall underneath that. Eventually, they will have to find their own collection programs for them to pull them back out of the industry and fund that funding. But right now, yes, it is a Horton Township problem that we need to try to address, because we do see a significant amount of textiles. The biggest problem for us is carpets, baler twine, and the plastic bagging that goes around hay bales. It is an absolute menace, and we have nothing to do with it other than bury it.
Can you say those 3 items again? I'm sorry.
So textiles, rugs, carpets, that type of stuff, baler twine, and the plastic wrap that goes around hay bales.
And on that topic, yes, I agree with you on that. Some of the areas with high agriculture do bale up plastics and stuff and ship them off, but we don't have enough volume, and there's a lot of waste, a lot of water and stuff used to wash the plastics. But at one time they did, certain counties did have a program for that. And the only thing I was thinking about, Adam, was if we put a line in our budget for 2026, mentioning, sort of gearing up for our 2026 budget, that we do a line item for landfill to get more education out there about the clear bags and whatever else we can do. So, any other questions for Adam on that? Yes, Councillor Webster.
Well, I was just doing some quick math here with your forecast of the way we're going is, even, I don't even know if we had land today and we started to gear our engineer for a new landfill. I don't know if we have it ready in 12 years, because we're just going through an expansion right now, and we're in year 5, 6, and we don't even have it yet. And that's just an expansion of an existing site, with the water, the monitoring and everything. So, to get a complete new landfill, different location in 12 years, I don't know if it's feasible. It could be, but that's a tight timeline that we should be starting now. So I just wanted to throw that bit of information out.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. Any other questions for Adam before we move on? When do you want to do your presentation?
I think we can move towards the presentation now, unless there's anything else or further discussion on that. Give me a second to get my screen up. So as I discussed previously, this is on our level of service analysis. So this is with our consultant for PSD. They have been working on our asset management plan for several years. This is part of Ontario Regulation 588-17. This level of service analysis is basically a screenshot of where we were on our previous AMP and a comparison with us to other local municipalities and Ontario as a whole to see essentially where Horton lies. This overlays the Regulation 588-17, some of the legislative practices, and again, how Horton compares. The current AMP programs, the principles and guidelines are listed out here. They're basically the framework for what asset management is in Ontario. This is a framework that every municipality in Ontario now has to report under. So these are our asset categories. This is how our consultant and myself have broken down all of our different assets into categories to help build some budget. There's also several subcategories in that through in the system, but these are the main categories that build that pyramid. Quick snapshot of our portfolio. We have $40 million worth of assets. 85% of them are in fair or better condition. And we have $744,000 in infrastructure deficit. That puts us at a target reinvestment rate of 3%, and our current is 1.1%. So we essentially have to close that gap. The timeline that has been defined in our previous AMP was closing that gap over 15 years. This can again be mitigated by doing the best we can to maintain our assets. It's no different than our landfill or our roads or our buildings. We have to try to maintain them and push those levels of services and replacements out, which is why we recently revised a couple policies for how to manage our assets and put it on condition basis. We put a year on the length of them, but we also put a condition that is the deciding factor. Just because an asset reaches, say a vehicle reaches its 10-year mark, if it's in 75% condition, we're not going to replace that, but we reevaluate it and keep an eye on it. This shows our condition overview of our assets. It's noted that vehicles and machinery, there's several that are in very fair or poor condition, or poor or failing condition. These were through the fire department. They were not assets that were categorized at that time. Very recently, that has been finalized, and we have closed that gap. So we do have all of our assets in the system now, and we're moving forward to finalize our AMP, which will be on July 1st. Of this year. So again, that'll be the presentation coming forward. This is just the build up towards that presentation. So how does Horton compare to neighboring municipalities? This is information that is very hard for us to source, but because PSD works with some of these neighboring municipalities, they were able to source this for us. It gives us our population comparative to others and what our population density is, what our portfolio replacement cost is, and our overall condition. It's worthwhile to note that our overall condition is better than every one of them. And if you take our population divided by the portfolio replacement cost divided by our households, it breaks down that per household we have $26,900 approximately of replacement per household, where Smith Falls has $81,800, Russell has $172,000, and Arnprior has $57,000 worth of replacement. So our replacement needs per household is drastically less. So that, to me, says we're in a good situation. You can take these numbers and work them all different ways to kind of come up with different comparisons to show. Ontario as a whole, in a comparison, we are right on that target. We are right around 3%. If you look, there's anywhere between 2 and 4%. We do not want to end up being that person that needs 7 or 8% to replace. We don't want to be that township. That's in an unsustainable and a position that's just going to continue to deteriorate. So the legislative requirements for Ontario Regulation 588-17 are all here. What I am looking for now from council is some opinions on KPIs, key performance indicators, over the next 10 years, because these are legislated by the regulations within 588-17 that every year we will have to be reporting back to the province of, are we meeting these KPIs that we have set for the township to show that we are performing properly. I fully suspect they will also ask if we are meeting these KPIs when we start applying for grants as well. So that's just an example of a KPI that we could build. That can be as simple as a yes, no, or you can put some mathematical formulas behind them to come up with a percentage or whatever you want to do. And these are some proposed levels of services that other municipalities have used. Then I have developed within consultation with our consulting firm to build up for our AMP, and will be incorporated in. And again, if there is anything that council wishes to add to these KPIs or feels that they could be altered in any way, now is the time to bring them forward, because the AMP is in the final stages of preparation to be delivered on or before July 1st of this year. That's it for the presentation. I will stop sharing my screen if there's any further questions. And again, they don't have to come today, they can be discussed further or brought forward in email, and we can move forward from there to incorporate them into that app.
Thank you, Adam, for that presentation. There was a lot of reading, but very, very interesting stuff going on, and you've seemed to get Horton right in there on the fact too. So, thank you again. Any other questions for Adam before we move on? Deputy Mayor Proctor?
Thank you for this. I appreciate the narrative on top of it, because I dare say, reading it, I did not get the same level of story. So thank you for that. Some of these KPIs, I mean, I think they make sense in reading them. They're all fairly common sense of, are the kilometers of road at an adequate level, yes or no? I guess the two things came to my mind when I was reading the KPIs. One is there's always the expectation that this is expected maintenance. There will always be the emergency. There will always be the ad hoc storm, the unexpected force majeure that takes over and takes our spending. So putting that aside, I guess the other side to this is, but what is is there, and I imagine there is, but I'd love to hear from you, this is what we're achieving from a regional or from a regulatory township, province perspective, but here's the service that we're leaning towards because we know there's growth in that area. So a current gravel road may be turning into a hard top road, or we'll be replacing a culvert down the road because of the amount of increased traffic, right? The growth rate of 10% here was up to 2021. I believe we've sustained that level of growth. So with that increased growth are some of the future expansion, future capital projects and the routine maintenance contextualizing going together for where our spend will be going. Is that a fair understanding of using these KPIs as well?
Yes, I'm just looking for it, but I believe there is a KPI that asks if we extended any of our gravel road network per our township policies, so that would be right in there with our road network development policy that says once a road reaches this level of daily traffic, that this is the appropriate surface for it. So that would be the KPI that we would say, yes, we are, as our supporting document to say we are following this policy. This road has met this amount of traffic, we upgraded the surface to the appropriate level. So that would be how we would address that.
Chair Humphreys, a supplemental
Yes.
to that is, we have seen in the past as well that our provincial grants maybe have algorithms that we don't always understand at the onset, that don't always lead us to being successful. I'm mindful of cart before horse, of setting some of these KPIs before knowing where our provincial grants would be leaning into, and I'm mindful that some of our provincial grants, we've actually been, I won't say negatively impacted, but we haven't gotten as much funding previously because some of our road structures are in better condition. So that balance act, is that something that's going to be ongoing within the TES committee, to be balancing what the government grants are going to be focused on and what we then, from a KPI, focus on?
I wouldn't say that's a KPI thing, but that's definitely something that's a fine balancing of keeping a little bit of debt. So when we have debentures that roll over, put it towards that expansion that needs to happen, and there's been discussion of that with roads that need to have that done. When Johnston Road comes on, we can look at debenturing that, but it's a fine line. Unfortunately, I think the way a lot of these are based is if you have high debt load and you have higher need, you get the grant. It's good that we're in a financially sustainable position, but sometimes it affects us negatively, especially when we're applying for grants.
So, if there's any other questions? Councillor Webster.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Just to elaborate on that, I through the test committee, Deputy Mayor, that we have lots of discussion, and we're very fortunate with Adam's knowledge and foresight to see what's going on, that we are always planning ahead, as in, we do something this year, which is because the project's next year. And it's always seems to happen, and we're financially stable, that we carry on with those. It's not wasting, I don't want to say wasted money, but it doesn't delay. Like, the steps are there, this boom, 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 and hopefully we can continue that with the, which only helps us out with our AMP plan here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. All done? Good. Turn it back to you, Deputy Mayor Proctor.
Thank you very much, Chair Humphreys. Thank you so much, Adam. Lovely information as always. Why don't we continue, but I'm going to hand it back to you, Chair Humphreys, for the Recreation Committee report.
Thank
please.
you, Deputy Mayor Proctor. As on page 37 of your package, the background information, senior home support, the Easter Fun Day, the senior active living band, right back down to the recreational floor getting done, and Adam's already covered that. So it's just to go through our committee met. We were asked to try and support the Renfrew area senior home sport, and they seem to be having better luck with their dances that we look after than we do on our own. So it's sort of a way of making sure we get the hall used, and again, it's part of the community, and we're hoping that we're able to expand to Horton Community Center for programs. Just as I say, we have a good committee. Rachel's done a great job going through Easter. 125 kids for the Easter egg hunt. They have to turn kids away. They got a real good group of younger women volunteers now, with Jen Fortin leading the way. The Senior Active Living Brass Ensemble put on a really good show. Nice afternoon. Raised about $500 with a little bit of 50-50, a bake sale, a little bit at the bar. So again, it was the first time we tried that, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it more as maybe as a supper and a dance sort of thing. They do take up a lot of space with their instruments, but there's still room to probably seat 80 people for a nice supper and music. They're very talented people, and it was nice to see. I enjoyed that. I sold 50-50 tickets, talked to a lot of people. It was a great to see the hall been used for different things. And then we move on down to the county. Our country dances have not done well. We tried Friday nights. We tried Sunday afternoons. Either the weather's too nice and people don't want to come out. You know, they're doing stuff on Sunday afternoon, and people complaining because they don't want to have it in the dark to do a night run. So you're sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. And moving down, we just had a good discussion about what Adam gave us about the re-waxing the floor, because again, it has to be looked after, and again, it was not done properly before. And I was telling Adam, we've had the same problems at our church. It was just putting stuff on top and the build up of dirt. You're waxing the dirt, so it makes it shiny. What else we got here? Hall booking doing well. Health inspection for the kitchen passed. The back of the stage floor where they had a leak is fixed, and the fruit fundraiser, which we reviewed carefully before we passed it on. It was a lot of work. No guarantee of the prices, and the trucking was quite. We'd have to sell 80 to 100 baskets of peaches just to cover the trucking from down around Beamsville, Stony Creek. So the Presbyterian had taken it last year because Rachel come on new, and we just didn't have the time. It takes a lot of hours for very little return. We're better off to have a little bake sale or something. It's a lot less work, and it's the infrastructure doing it. Before, we had to get a forklift in, we had to move out the fire trucks, get the peaches in to be cool. They come in August. It's hot. It's just so much extra, and the volunteers aren't around. We're all over the hill. So there's some young ones coming on, good for other things, but I just find it just would take, there's like 200 phone calls to make. It's time consuming. I know we could send the information out in the tax bill, but we've had our run. Mr. Eady was very active when he started this on his own, and then he gave it to Horton. He's always been a very proud member of the Presbyterian Church, and when his daughter called me, we as a committee decided we'd let them take it again for their little fundraiser, and they've got different ideas and stuff, and they got M&R feeds a forklift right next door, so they got things that are easier to do than we can. So they were very appreciative, and I wish them luck, because I know the last few years, for the amount of money we made, if you value staff hours, we didn't barely broke even on if we did that by the time you pay staff. And because of the Privacy Act, pretty well staff has to look after the money, and Natalie has to look after, and this goes on and on and on. So to follow all the rules and regulations. But anyway, we're sorry to give it up, but I mean, it's had a good run. They raised lots of money over the years, but the economy's tighter and tighter all the time, and a lot more people aren't doing preserves and stuff. So that's about all for that report, as I see here. So again, got an active committee. Rachel's doing a great job. She joined me for breakfast on the mayor's breakfast to sort of represent economic development. So all in all, it was good. So thank you. Back to you.
Thank you for that. I love all of that. Sorry to hear some of the ones that are not going forward. The cycle of the effort versus the response. But one thing I want to zero into is the participation grant.
Yes.
Isn't that a fantastic program? It brings me
Yeah.
back to my childhood of participation badges and that kind
Yep.
of stuff. The forward motion,
Yep.
that the Revive Spin class coming up, I think within 24 hours or something crazy, it was full. So every week there will be some action or activity to encourage us to be,
Yeah.
sorry, sure.
We had it before, actually Tina Hunt looked after, but it was very complicated, very, very complicated. Everybody had to put in their times, and it just went on and on and on. And resistance quite simple. It just, right off the bat, Rachel said we had to talk to somebody about step class, spin class, and it's off to get off to the runs. Just got going quickly. But before it was, the prizes, went through all that with the stuff we had to buy. It was during just the start of, I guess it was the start of COVID too, eh? And if you ran with a group of kids and everybody had to put in their time, and then it was just mind-boggling. Now it's just 6 people showed up. Rachel just hits the button and 30 minutes each, and bang, it's done. Before it was very complicated. So they really streamlined it for sure. Yeah. Yes.
If I may, as a supplemental, some of the ideas coming forward for every week in June are really quite interesting. Everything from yoga, rumor has it there might be some horseshoes going on from certain people as well. Spin classes. So if there's still time if people have ideas for classes.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah, the step also.
the steps.
Step program. Yeah.
Revive Spin class.
Yeah, it's steps and spin.
Steps and spin.
Yep.
Brilliant. So thank you. I love seeing the activity in the area and look forward to being part of some of
And
it.
very nice to see our community center being used. That's the key. You drive by and there's cars. There's on the sign, like it's nice to see it been used, and again, it's a credit to Rachel and her good little group of click and volunteers, and it's done. Like, I couldn't believe that meeting, and next thing there was a poster for the spin class, because we'd had a meeting here at 10 o'clock, and by that afternoon, things were starting to roll in, so, yeah, so very, very happy with that. Councillor Webster.
Thank you, Councilor Humphries. The Renfrew and area senior home support, I'm in support of them coming back to the hall, hopefully
Yeah.
rent it out, or not rent it out, but in kind, hosting their country dances there. And then the participation, I believe, we as Horton, didn't we were ranked up there as a few years ago, so hopefully we can get back on the leaderboard there, because I know we did really well 1 or the 2 years, a
Yeah.
few years ago. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can put our name back up there on that list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. Yep. Back to you, Deputy Mayor Proctor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Councillor Humphries. Let me get back to the agenda. All right, so we'll move on to correspondence summary in section 9 for us. The information memo would have been sent to your emails. 3 items, Renfrew County project update, a outstanding citizen acknowledgement, and calendars. Any commentary or discussion from anybody? Councillor Humphries.
That was a very nice letter written by Mr. Tripp for his neighbor and the amount of cleaning he's done along the road. So I thought that was very, very appropriate for a neighbor to do it, and actually his landlord, that he's covered so many miles. I have seen him walk on the road here and there and everywhere, but it's great to have somebody like that to do that. So, and again, he might want some clear garbage bags. He might want a Horton golf shirt, and along with vest for
Right.
safety too.
Right. Well, and for full, in case folks aren't aware, that we received a fantastic letter from a Randy Pitt, I hope yes, Randy, about Murray McDonald. And I have to admit, I didn't know that Murray did this at all, but from the letter received, recognizing the effort, Murray contributes to Storyland, and I think all the way up onto, down into River Road, just walking and picking up and cleaning up our township and cleaning up our roadway, I think on a daily basis. Now that I've received this and started talking to others, it's quite an ongoing item. So love that Randy recognized and love that they took the effort to bring it in. My question, I guess, is as council and with staff is, what could we do as recognition? As much as everyone wants a bit of Horton swag, I think that's a great thing, but also some form of ongoing recognition of encouraging members of Codyville, Thompson Hill, River, et cetera, to recognize each other and maybe look for, is there a way that we could formally recognize people volunteering? I know we've got our yearly volunteer, but maybe on the more regular. I think this is a great idea. See if others have some thoughts to it.
Yeah, that's a great point, and congratulations, Mr. McDonald. That I believe he's received an award on this prior, if I'm mistaken, quite a few years ago. He was recognized for this, and again, he just keeps doing it. But it really shows the pride of ownership of being a resident of Horton, that going out and doing this, and we can expand on that and push it out there. And I'm just wondering if maybe the rec committee, I don't know where it should fall, rec or TES or one of the committees is come up with a plan, like you had said, how we can recognize these people and bring it back to council or maybe CAO Dillabo, if you, any ideas of who should come up with this plan to, so we can recognize, because the more recognition out there, the more pride of ownership and the cleaner the roads will be.
So I think between recreation and maybe the clerk's office, we can start working on a policy to put something in place so that when we do get the one-off requests like this, then we have kind of a guideline of how to recognize the volunteers. So we can start working on that. And is there anything that we wish to do specifically for Mr. McDonald? You can let staff know. We can do up a little certificate. We can invite him to come in to a council meeting. We can give him some Horton swag. Just want some council direction for this one, but we can start working on a policy.
Just to say, it could be from TAS too, because it's landfill involved too. So it could be a three-way thing. Yes, gift cards. I'm just thinking about, he was talking about mowing the lawn and stuff, but the county should recognize that too, because that's county property too. That corner that he's mows so much, that's county.
Yes, that's
And
kind
they should send that letter to them and say, hey, this guy's keeping your county roads nice in that Storyland curve, because it is county highway. It's not Horton in one section, so.
So as a starting point, I'd like to write a thank you on behalf and review it with council to acknowledge and appreciate Randy acknowledging, but also Mr. McDonald for his approach.
Yep.
And then as a follow-on with staff, we'll see what policy, I love that idea, mechanism going forward, and something specific for Mr.
Yeah.
McDonald.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, I will do that for sure. I look forward to those items. Those are fun. Anything else about information correspondence? None being heard? All right, we are approaching the bottom. Section 10 for bylaws. I will pass over to CAO Dillabo.
Thank you. So we've got 3 bylaws here. Election season is upon us for us clerks in municipal sector. So Horton Township does not have a municipal election sign policy. So we don't have any real guidelines to abide by. So we have created this policy in place by bylaw that just provides some regulations for all election candidates to abide by. Then we've got our zoning bylaw amendment, removal of the holding symbol for the pit up on Golf Course Road, which is a long time coming. And then we've got Joel Ward's use of unopened road allowance agreement that was discussed at the last council meeting.
Thank you so much for that. Any discussion? No, none being heard. We will go on to notice to file motion for next council meeting. Okay, section 12, council or staff member concerns. Yes, CEO Dillabor?
Thank you. So I was hoping that Mayor Bennett was going to be in attendance tonight to provide council with an update regarding the Renfrew and Area Health Services Village Board meeting that happened on Friday. I was not present at that meeting. Our treasurer did attend, however, she's on holidays this week, so I haven't got an update from her just yet. So once she's back, and hopefully at the next council meeting, we'll have Mayor Bennett update council on what occurred at the meeting.
I look forward to that. Thank you. Any other concerns? No? I have three. First, I would like to give a big thank you and recognition to Councillor Humphreys for stepping into the mayor's breakfast at the Chamber of Commerce. I heard that you did just a fantastic job on behalf of Horton, so thank you so much for doing that. The other one is I am thrilled that the Ottawa River levels seemingly, and I'm knocking on wood as I'm saying it, are going down. That said, I know that there's been, as much as we were not officially flooded, there has been some property damage. So encourage, if anyone is looking for preventative measures or rehabilitation to their waterfront, we've got some resources. Watershed Canada is a fantastic service that I myself have started reaching out to of what native plants to be putting in that would hold my shoreline and not lose it. And the last one, I apologize, it was only two. Thank you, those were the only two items I had. Councillor Humphreys.
You mentioned watershed, we have, you know, when we went through that with Tess, that the plants should be here soon. They talked about having them in the spring or like early summer, so hopefully they'll come through. We'll have to just check with Lois and see how that was going, but because we've had a meeting with them last year through Tess, and there's some of the stuff that wasn't suitable because we, you know, but the plants were a big thing that we pushed. So hopefully we'll get that connected, connect the dots there. So maybe send a follow-up letter to the watersheds, because we had a good meeting. I guess it'd be back in September, early fall. Yeah, so again, that was something that, at least if we get plants going, that's a plus. So, and again, the waters is slow to recede this year. We still have to walk to the cottage, so, but we live in a floodplain, so what do you expect? So simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to section 13 for resolutions, and I'll pass it over to CEO Dillabo.
Thank you. So that council received the following reports as information. Test Chairs Report, May 7th, 2025. Horton's Level of Service Analysis Presentation, and Recreation Chairs Report, May 8th, 2025.
Do I have, thank you. Moved by Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. All in favor? Thank you.
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, council directs staff to replace the signs at the landfill site in order to align with the landfill site expansion, and that an upset amount of $5,000 be allocated from the Environmental Landfill Site Reserve for this project.
Moved by Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Webster. All in favor?
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, council directs staff to have the floors at the community center be professionally stripped and waxed, and that an upset amount of $9,000 be allocated from the Recreation Buildings Reserve.
Moved by Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Webster. All in favor? Thank you.
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, council agree to begin the transition to a clear bag collection program on January 1st, 2026, with a soft launch of the program including a public education, and that the full transition to a clear bag collection program be implemented on January 1st, 2027.
Do I have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. All in favor?
That council, upon recommendation from the Recreation Committee, agree to increase support to the Renfrew and Area Senior Home Support by waiving hall rental fees directly related to the use and enjoyment of the Horton Community Center.
Moved by Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Webster. All in favor?
That council received the information memo for May 20th, 2025.
Moved by Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. All in favor? Thank you.
That council enact the following bylaws: 2025-24 municipal election sign policy, 2025-25 zoning bylaw amendment, removing a holding symbol, and 2025-26 use of unopened road allowance agreement ward.
Moved by Counselor Humphrey, seconded by Counselor Webster. All in favor? Thank you.
That council enact bylaw 2025-27, confirming bylaw.
Moved by Counselor Webster, seconded by Counselor Humphreys. All in favor? Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned at 5:08. Thank you all. Have a good night.